Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rose Oatley, and today we're going to be making some delicious flautas, also known as taquitos. You want to start by filling up a pot of water. You want to cut a small piece of onion, a thick slice will do. We want to put it in the water just to add a little bit of flavor. You're also going to need some chicken breasts. Here I'm going to be adding 3 chicken breasts to my water. You want to set your temp at about a medium-high. Let's add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, or you can add 1 clove of garlic. My chicken normally takes about 20 to 25 minutes to cook, depending on size. I like to serve my flautas with Spanish rice and beans, so if you like the recipe to my Spanish rice, be sure and check it out in my channel. I give you lots of tips on how to make the perfect restaurant-style Spanish rice. I'll post the link up top. While our chicken is cooking, we want to cut and dice a small piece of onion. This is about a quarter of a small onion. I'm also going to cut and dice 1 Roma tomato. Next, I'm going to chop up the leafy part of 1 bush of cilantro. My chicken is ready. It took about 23 minutes to cook. Now we want to start shredding it. To shred, just use 2 forks and pull it apart like this, or if you prefer, you can use your hands, even a mixer. So while you're shredding, if you notice that for any reason it's slightly undercooked, don't worry about it too much because we are going to be cooking it for just a few minutes in a pan. But if it's raw, then you want to make sure it's cooked. As you can see, all 3 chicken breasts have been shredded. To a pan, you want to add a little bit of olive oil. I would say about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And honestly, I probably should have used a larger pan here, but that's okay. We'll just go with it. All right, so you want to go ahead and add the onions that we had chopped and diced. You want to saute your onions for about 3 minutes. I'm going to add all of my shredded chicken. For our seasoning, we're going to start with salt and pepper, and this is to your taste. Add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, then half a teaspoon of oregano. I'm also going to add 1 packet of powdered chicken bouillon. Next, I'm going to add half a cup of water. Now, you want to make sure that you don't add too much water because you don't want it juicy. Don't forget it. This is going to be our filling. So we just want to get it nice and moist. We don't want dry chicken. So just enough to kind of moisten your chicken up. Depending on how much chicken you have, just use your best judgment. All right, so you don't want to cook it too long. I would say at least about 3 to 4 minutes. Now that it's done, I'm going to go ahead and place it in a bowl temporarily. I went ahead and cleaned up my pan because we're going to be heating up some corn tortillas. Now, when you get corn tortillas, make sure that they're not the street corn tortillas because those are really small. Just get the standard size tortillas. So it's important that we heat these up for a few seconds on both sides so that they can be malleable. We want to be able to roll them up pretty easily. If we don't, then they're probably going to break on you. You want to heat up as many as you're going to need. I usually like to serve 3 per person, but it's entirely up to you. Once you've heated up all your tortillas, you're ready to add your filling. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my chicken filling here. Now you want to be careful not to add too much because then it'll be hard to roll the tortillas, and you want a really nice roll. And make sure that you put your filling towards the end of the tortilla so it'll also be easier to roll. You're going to roll them just like taquitos. We're going to continue doing this with all of our tortillas. Now, if you like, you can also add a little bit of Mexican blend shredded cheese inside. There's so many different things that you can add as a filling. If you don't want to do the chicken, you can do beef. You can even do bean and cheese. You can do chorizo, whatever you like. I personally love the chicken flautas. Those are my favorite. Coming back to my stove, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some of this canola oil to the same pan I was using. And I'm probably going to use about a little more than half of this container. I don't want a whole lot of oil, but I do want enough to be able to fry them nicely. Make sure you give your oil enough time to get nice and hot because you want it hot. Once your oil is nice and hot, we can start frying our flautas. Now, when you place your flautas in your pan, make sure that you place the seam on the bottom, and then you want to hold it with your tongs like this. You want to give it a few seconds so that the bottom can harden up a little bit. Otherwise, your tortilla can unravel, and you don't want that. Let it fry for a few seconds and then just turn it over to the other side and let the other side fry as well. Alright guys, so when you're making these, just please be very careful because you are dealing with hot grease and you don't want to burn yourself. I don't want you to burn yourself. So just kind of be careful and watch everything carefully. Sometimes you'll get pieces of chicken in there. You'll kind of start seeing it bubble. You might want to remove them so it doesn't splatter on you. Once they're done and ready to come out, just kind of flip them over like this to let the oil drip out, because the oil will go inside of your flauta. Now you can place them on a plate with a paper towel. That way the paper towel will absorb all of the oil as well. Now, how do you tell when the flautas are ready? Basically, the tortilla just kind of hardens up and it keeps its form. Sometimes if, they start getting a little bit golden brown, you want to make sure that you take them out because they also kind of continue cooking a little bit after. As you can see here, I was removing a few pieces of chicken that kind of fell in the oil. Once they start bubbling up, I start getting a little nervous that they're going to splatter on me. So like I said, just be very careful. If you can, go ahead and remove those. You want to continue cooking until all your flautas are done. Now let's go over our toppings. I usually like to start with some guacamole, and usually my guacamole is homemade, but today I'm going to be using store-bought guacamole, which is perfectly fine. I like to add mine right on top of my flautas, but now if you prefer, you can add it on the side. Now we're going to take some of our cilantro that we chopped up earlier, and I'm going to add some of that on top. I also like to add shredded lettuce sometimes as well. Add a little bit of tomatoes. Next, I love to use this Mexican crema, usually found at Walmart. Make sure you get the table cream. It's almost similar to sour cream, but not exactly. This one isn't as thick, and see how easily you can drizzle it on top? I definitely recommend it, guys. Another topping is salsa or picante sauce. You can add a little bit on top, and it just adds a really delicious flavor to it as well. Now here you go, served with rice and beans. Now doesn't this look delicious? I know you're gonna love it. Please help support my channel by sharing this with friends, giving me a like, and posting a comment below. Thanks everyone, I appreciate you. If you haven't already subscribed, please be sure to do so below or hit my little picture on the side. Also, don't forget to hit the little bell to get notified of all of my new videos, and please be sure to check out these links on the side. Share with your friends. Thanks for watching and your support.